Hello everyone, good evening. My name is Mohammad Zuhair Ahmed from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Today I will present on the topic Objective Oriented Web Application Development. Through this presentation, we will understand what Object Oriented Programming is, its core principle and how it is play a crucial role in the modern web development. What is object-oriented programming? Let's start it with the basics. Object-oriented programming or OOPS is a programming paradigm that means it's a way or style of programming that builds around the concept of objects. An object represents something from the real world, like a customer, a product, or even a shopping cart in a e-commerce app. Each object contains two main parts: data, known as attributes or properties, code, known as method or functions. This design approach makes our code more realistic and more modular. It allows programmers to model real-world systems directly in code and improves reusability and organization, which are very important in large-scale web applications. Core principle of OOPS. There are four fundamental principles in OOPS: encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. We will go through each one with definitions and examples to see how they work together. The first principle is encapsulation. Encapsulation means bundling data and methods that works on the data into a single unit. An object, for example, consider a bank account object that has data, account number, balance, method, deposit, withdraw. The data is kept private inside the object and only specific methods are allowed to modify it. This prevents unwanted changes from outside the object, protecting data integrity. So, encapsulation ensures security, data hiding, and maintainability. The second principle in object-oriented programming is abstraction. Abstraction is about showing only the essential features of an object while hiding complex implementation data. It's like driving a car. You don't need to know how the engine works. You just use the steering wheel and pedal. In programming, abstraction simplifies how users interact with objects. For example, a database connection class might have content connect method. You don't need to know the inner details of how it is connected to the data. You just call connector and it works. This principle helps reduce complexity and make system easier to use and understand. The third principle of object-oriented programming is inheritance. Inheritance is one of the most powerful features in OOP. It allows a child class to inherit properties and methods from a parent class, which encourage code reuse and hierarchical organization. For example, suppose you have a class employee with attributes like name and salary and methods like calculate pay. Now you can create a manager, call that class that inherits from employee and add its own method, say approve leave. This saves coding efforts, avoiding duplicates and helping maintain consistency across similar objects. The fourth principle of object-oriented programming is polymorphism. Definition: the ability of an object or method to take one many forms. Purpose: allows a single interface to be used for different types object. For example, a calculate area function could work for a object, square, and a circle object. For example, calculate area method could be defined differently in square and circle class, but you can call calculate area on either object and it will automatically perform the right calculation. This principle makes OOP flexible and extensible. allowing new object types to be added easily without changing existing code. Why do we use OOP for web development? Now, let's connect this principle to web development. In web development, there are many interconnected parts users, products, payments, cards, etc. OOPs help developers structure these parts in a modular and organized way. Here, how it benefits web projects. Modularity. Each component, like a user or product, can be developed and tested independently. Scalability. You can add new features without disturbing existing ones. Reusability. Common classes can be reused across multiple modules or even different projects. Maintainability. Bugs are easier to locate and fix since code is organized locally. This is why OOP is the heart of almost every modern web framework to date. Common OOPs languages and frameworks. Mainly popular programming languages and frameworks follow OOPs concept. Some of the examples are PHP, frameworks like Laravel and Symfony, Python, Django and Flask, Java, Spring Framework, C++, ASP.NET, Ruby on Rails. All of these frameworks use OOPS principles to help developers build robust, scalable, and maintainable web applications. Example Example of e-commerce model. Let's take a practical example to see how to work in web context. In an e-commerce application, you can represent different entities as objects. Customer object, product object, shopping cart object. In customer object, it has attributes like name and address, methods like place order. And in product object, it has attributes like price and product ID, methods like add to cart. And in shopping cart object, it has a list of items and a method calculate total. By defining each component as an object, it becomes easier to connect to them and manage the overall system, just like assembling building blocks. If you want to add new feature later, like discounts or review, you can simply extend the existing classes. No need to rewrite everything. Readable application of OOP in web development. User authentication system. Classes like user, seasons, and authentication service handle login, registration, and security. Content management system (CMS). Objects such as post, page, and category manage structures with content. E-commerce platform. Product, order, and cart classes simplify managing inventory and customer purchases. API development framework use OOPs to structure routes, requests, and responses efficiency. Key points. OOPs help to organize complex logic into reusable components, which improve code clarity and system reliability. Best practices for using OOPs in web projects. Solid principle, design clean management, and scalable class structure. Keep classes focused. Each class should have one clear purpose, single responsibility. Use design pattern. Apply patterns like MVC, singleton, or factory for efficient design. Write reusable code. Create base classes or utilities that can be reusable across modules. Document your classes. Add comments and maintain clear naming conversion for better collaborations. Good OOP practices lead to scalable, bug-free, and professional-grade web applications. Summary. OOPS organizes code using objects that model real-world entities. Its core principle encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism make software modular, reusable, and maintainable. In web development, these ideas are fundamental. Frameworks like Django, Laravel, Spring all rely heavily on OOPS. Using OOPS we can build web applications that are easy to understand, expand, and maintain over time. At last, I want to conclude that OOPS that bring us to the end of the season on application development. I hope this helps you understand how OOPS not only structure code but also shape the backbone of modern web framework. Thank you for listening.